as we welcome Coach Segun as he comes to give his session.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Beautiful. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're hearing or watching from. Of course, my name is Segun. Like she said, before I start, I'd like to say Happy International Women's Day to every woman here. Also, happy anniversary, ONM Foundation. And thank you for having me here. I said Happy International Women's Day. And with everything that has been happening, in recent times, it somehow feels like maybe it's not something very palatable that a lot of women want to hear today. I mean, there's a narrative going on in the air. It's been around for a couple of days now, where it feels like, and it's not just new. It's been around for a while, where it feels like a lot of women, especially in this part of the world, are being subdued. Um, so I know that it probably does not feel like a nice thing to say right now, to say, oh yeah, women, we're celebrating women. However, I pray that I hope that at a point you will understand what is going on. You will understand as a woman what is going on. And it's going to be leading me to what I'm talking about quickly, breaking barriers. You know, when people are trying to subdue somebody or subdue a group, what happens is that they try to make sure that they don't realize the power that they carry. In most cases, for women, for human beings generally, but especially for women, it is not your inability that scares you. It is your power that you have that actually scares you. In other words, the same power that you have that the society sees is what they are trying to subdue. So they try to set a narrative of inferiority to you just to make sure that you do not recognize your power and you can operate below your abilities, such that you can operate below your ability. It is an agenda, and I hope that you do not fall for it. It's the same concept that was used when Africans then wanted to be taken as slaves. It was not the weakness that made them take them as slaves. It was the strength that Africans had that made them take Africans as slaves. But what did they do? They needed to make sure that the Africans would not recognize their power. So they sold a narrative of inferiority to them and gave themselves superiority. So they sold the narrative of inferiority continuously, such that those ones began to believe that they were truly small and insignificant, so they could subdue their power. The reason I'm saying this is because one of the reasons that a lot of women, have the things that we call self-doubt, imposter syndrome, is because of this singular reason. Is one of the reasons. There are a lot of reasons, but this is like a major, major reason. And so what makes you feel stuck is your inability to accept, to embrace, and to express your true power. In most cases, when I'm having, sessions with maybe women, there's one question I ask. I say, who are you? I say, are you sure that you have not forgotten who you are? If women can understand the power that they carry, if women can actually understand the uniqueness of the power that they carry, you would begin to operate in a different level. And I dare to say that this is one of the things that the society is trying so hard for you not to understand. So the question I would ask is, do you even know who you are? In case you had known who you were before, do you remember who you are? So let me quickly go into what we have today. I'm going to try to be checking my notes so that I want to try to keep the time so that we'll have time for questions, and then we'll have time for the next speaker. The topic says breaking barriers, overcoming self-doubt, and imposter syndrome. The last time I was here, we talked about fear, and I'm going to be talking about some of that too here. But the first thing I want to establish, if you do not get anything away from this session, please, I want to establish one major thing. And this is the fact that your fears, your feelings, your emotions, listen, your feelings, your emotions are not your enemy. Your feelings, your emotions are not your enemy. Your feelings and your emotions are not your enemy. I'm going to say it over and over again. Maybe at some point it will think. Your feelings, your emotions are not your enemies. Now, what have come to do, they are only signposts to make you know that there is an information somewhere that needs to be attended to. So I'm going to try to break it down. Your feelings, emotions, so maybe your fear, anger, whatever it is, are only coming because they are trying to tell you that, hey, boss, there is an information somewhere that you need to attend to. Now, all these feelings and emotions, how are they generated? There's something in psychology we call the TFA map. Thoughts to feelings to actions. Your feelings do not just happen. Your feelings are generated by thoughts, by thinking. So every time that you feel something, if you feel fear, for example, or if you feel angry, it is because a thinking has been activated. Now, TFA, you think, your thinking will activate your feeling. Your feeling will activate your action or your behavior. Now, all those things do not happen without one major thing. And Mr. Sahid mentioned something when he was speaking. He said something about your beliefs. So the real formula is B to T to F to A. Beliefs to thoughts to feelings and then to action. So your beliefs are the things that generate your thoughts, that now generate your feeling. Now, self-doubt is a feeling. It's going to be wrong for me to come here and I'll tell you that I want you to just believe in yourself. Just don't doubt yourself. No. And that's why when I was being introduced, they said that I like to go to the root of situations. What is the reason you are feeling this way? You go, let's trace it back to your thoughts, to your thinking. The question is, what is the reason you are thinking this way? Let's now trace it back to your beliefs. So what do you believe about yourself? What do you believe about the situation that is making you think this way and then now feel this way? Now, beliefs can be generated by different things. Past experiences, significant emotional experiences, cultural, religious narratives, like what I talked about in the beginning, cultural narratives, societal narratives that you have heard over and over again that has now become a belief and an identity for you. Those are the things that mostly will form your beliefs. Quickly, now, in the case of fear, I tried to explain it the last time. Let me use fear as a feeling as an example. Now, I said fear, for example, is not your enemy. So every time you have the opportunity to feel fear, the next thing you should do is not to try to fight it or overcome it. And I tried to establish something that I came up with. It's called the fear tool. What you are trying to do with fear is not to kill it. If you kill your ability to fear, you have killed your ability to live. In other words, fear has a job it comes to do in your life, just like happiness, excitement, whatever it is. Fear has its role. The role of fear is that it is trying so hard to protect you from perceived danger, perceived pain, perceived shame. Do not try to kill the role. It is trying to protect you from perceived danger, perceived pain, or perceived shame. So when fear perceives and thinks that something you're about to do or something that has happened to you it perceives it as dangerous, it will try to protect you. It will be activated and try to protect you. So all fear is doing is trying to protect you. However, when fear is trying to protect you, it also now then stops you from doing the things that you want to do. But the problem is that it's telling you that this thing you want to do is dangerous. But somehow, maybe you know that other people are doing it. So it's not supposed to be dangerous. But there is where the problem is. It means that there is an information or there's an experience that you have had a long time ago that has been stored that now makes that thing feel that it is going to have pain, shame, or danger, and fear is trying to protect you from it. I hope you understand. So now that you have this information about fear, it is the same thing with anger, with every emotion that you feel. It is only a signpost pointing to the fact that something should be checked somewhere. So let's quickly go to, I'm still going to come back to that to explain it, brother, but let's go to self-doubt. So what is self-doubt? Self-doubt is a feeling of uncertainty or lack of confidence in yourself. It's a feeling of uncertainty or lack of confidence in yourself. A feeling of uncertainty or lack of confidence in yourself. Quickly, let me go to imposter syndrome. I'm still going to merge everything. I'm going to read it. Imposter syndrome is a psychological phenomenon where someone experiences persistent self-doubt about their abilities and accomplishments, despite evidence to the contrary, often feeling like a fraud or that they don't deserve their success, even when achieving significant milestones, essentially a persistent fear of being found out as incompetent despite external validation. Despite external validation. So what makes imposter syndrome different from self-doubt is that it is a persistent self-doubt. Now, self-doubt can be the fact that you just have a feeling of uncertainty. You don't believe in yourself. You don't know if you can actually do it. Maybe because you think that you are not qualified enough. Maybe because you don't have enough knowledge, you don't have enough training. In some cases, what you need to do is to actually maybe go for training. Now, in the case of imposter syndrome, which a lot of very talented people, very educated people have, it is in the case that even with all your knowledge, even with all your training, even with all the validation that people are telling you that, oh my goodness, you are so good, you still have a lot of self-doubt. Even with your success, even with your everything that you have a lot of self-doubt. And this is the point where you now ask the question that why do I still feel this way, even when I have so much? Even when I have so much, why do I still feel this way? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, beautiful. So why do I still feel this way, even when I have so much, even when it is obvious that I can do so much? And this is what takes us to what I call the spotlight trauma. Like I said, everything that happens to you always has a root, always has a root. This is why I call this thing the spotlight trauma. Most of the time, I know we talk about the fear of failure, we talk about the fear of this and all of that, but there's a dimension that we hardly mention. And that is the dimension that is actually most common with a lot of people. Let me tell you something. A lot of times, people have done a lot of trainings. People know these things. You actually know what you are doing. You know the answer to the question. But the real reason you are not taking action, you know exactly what to do. You know how to start that business. The real reason you are not taking action is because you have the spotlight trauma, the fear of success. It is not usually talked about, but it is very, very common. The fear of success. So, what is the fear of success? Now, the spotlight trauma, remember I talked about fear that only happens when your brain perceives danger. It sees potential danger. Now, when your brain or your mind sees that if you have success or if you expose yourself to something, if you expose yourself to a business, if it perceives exposure as danger, if it perceives exposure as danger, fear will kick in and you will doubt yourself and you'll not be able to do what you're about to do. Now, why does your brain perceive exposure as dangerous? I'm going to tell you a quick story. So when I was growing up, when I was really young, I had the problem of I had the fear of wanting to be in the spotlight, wanting to answer questions, wanting to talk in public. I had that fear. I could not start anything. I didn't want to start a business. I could not talk in public. But what happened when I realized that I grew up and I became an adult and it was still persistent? I knew that I needed therapy. I knew that I needed to go to the root because as good as I was, as great as I was, people would look at me and say, great job, that was fantastic. I was not believing any of it. You know why? Because when I was young, one day in class, and a lot of times you need to go back. This is a story of a lot of you. One day in class, our teacher had asked us a question. And when the teacher asked us a question, I raised my hand to answer that question. Remember, when a child is born with, according to research, with just two kinds of fear: the fear of falling and the fear of loud noise. Every other fear that you express or that you exhibit is learned. So I raised my hand to answer the question without fear. I was just going to answer the question. I was a child. And I made a mistake and I did not get the answer right. It shouldn't have been a problem, right? Because of course, I mean, it was a mistake and I didn't get the answer right. But something happened at that point. The moment I failed the answer, my teacher said something to bring me down, and the rest of the classmates laughed at me. So at that point, I experienced something called shame. And I interpreted whatever happened, that experience, as a belief that I was actually a dumb person, that there was something wrong with me. If there was nothing wrong with me, nobody would have laughed at me. It means that I was a dullard, I was dumb, and I didn't know what I was doing. I took in this thing that I just said, and so much that it became a belief in me and it became my identity. And from that time till a long time, till maybe I got to secondary school secondary school, university. And after university, it was hard for me to try to speak in public again. You know why? Because anytime I tried to do anything at all, my brain will take me back to that experience and will want to protect me from the shame that it feels that will happen if I try to talk again. I hope you're following me clearly. It's trying to protect me from the shame. So when that happened, how did I know that I had taken fear and had become a belief? Some years after, I was in secondary school, and there was this spelling bee competition that was always organized by Lagos. It was the first ever one. The winner was going to become, the governor of Lagos State for one day. Lagos State is in Nigeria. For one day, the governor of Lagos State for one day was going to go to Canada. They were going to give him or her computers for their school. It was a big deal. And then in the school, we're supposed to qualify for the school before you now qualify for the state round. So local government, school, local government, and the state round. So in school, I was an intelligent student. I was brilliant. I knew how to do these things. But remember that I'm coming from a place where I had the fear of exposure because I did not want to be found out. I did not want to be seen as if I thought that if I expose myself, they will see the part of me that is not okay. So I was running from that thing. So my teacher called me and said, "Oh, you're going to represent the local government." I said, no. So I did the one for the school. And when I was done with the one from the school, I came out tops. So I was supposed to represent my school for the local government. But because of that fear, I thought to myself, I'm going to expose myself to a whole local government, and then I'll be in front of them, and then I'll be exposed to judgment, to criticism, and then they will laugh at me all over again. Remember that it was never going to happen, but because I had believed, based on the experience that I had growing up, I believed that I was going to be laughed at. So I looked at it and I said, you know what? I'm going to tell a lie. So I wrote a letter. No, I told my sister to help me write a letter that I was not going to be around for the rounds in school because I needed to travel. I needed to attend a family function. So I self-sabotaged because of a fear that I had, a fear of potential shame based on exposure. So guess what? I wrote a letter, they agreed. The person who was second in my school now went to represent at the local government level. Guess who followed them there? I followed them there, but I was a part of the audience. And everything that they spelled and every word that was missed, the problem is not that you don't know what to do. It's the fact that you are afraid that one day, that someday, you are going to be shamed and judged based on what you think that you don't know. You are afraid that you are going to be exposed and then they'll be able to see. You think that people are looking at what you don't know how to do as against what you actually know how to do. So I followed them there. I was there with them. The guy from my school qualified for the grand finale, the state level, and then went to the state level. Guess who also followed them? Me, myself, and I. But I was part of the audience. And every word that they missed on stage and they spelt on stage, I could spell. And before me, I saw how they gave the, the person who won a trip to Canada, one day governor of Lagos State, computers, money, and I heard it in my head at that point. He said to me, that could have been you. I can remember it vividly now because it was a painful experience. It was at that point that I knew that I realized that I needed to do something because I knew what to do. I knew how to do these things, but because I was afraid. So now that you understand that, and I know that this is with a lot of people, something happened when you were small, somebody said something to you, and then it brought down your confidence, and you believed that thing that was said, and then it shut you down. So what do you have to do? What do you need to do? How can you now stop having this imposter syndrome? Because sometimes it's not because you are not good enough. It is because you are afraid of being found out. You step out, when you step out into the limelight, when you step out into the spotlight, the light will so shine on you, and you're thinking in your head that they will now begin to see the places where you are not good, instead of focusing on the place where you are good enough. The real question I always ask is, what is the reason you are trying so hard to make sin as perfect? Where did you learn this thing where they say that, oh, you have to be perfect? Where did you learn it from? What belief is driving this thought that you are having? Because as long as the belief is there, it will drive your thinking. And before you know it, you begin to feel that way. Sometimes, if you are not grounded enough, even when you get yourself to now want to do this thing, you now begin to look at expressions of people. In your head, you are now creating stories by yourself based on expression of people. And you say, this person is looking at me now. This person now knows that I don't know this thing so well. This person is, and nobody is actually, in the real sense of things, nobody is trying to judge you. You are the one fully judging yourself. That is why you are having imposter syndrome. You are focusing on the things that you believe that you don't know against focusing on the plenty of things that you know and focusing on the people who need to access the things that you against the things that you don't know. So why are you trying so hard to be perfect? Why are you trying so hard to not want to make a mistake? Why are you trying so hard to not want to be human? So what do you need to do quickly because of time? I talked about fear and I created a tool. Now, what will happen if you focus on spotlight trauma? Spotlight trauma, you will lose your best work because being seen feels unsafe. You will have so much ideas, but you will lose your best work because you feel that if you are seen, it's going to be unsafe. And every time there is um there is danger, there is perception of danger, fear will kick in and will stop you. You will downplay your presence. And this is very common amongst a lot of women because of the narrative that is being played that no, women are not supposed to this, women are not supposed to that. They're not supposed to be in the spotlight. They're not supposed to express themselves. You by yourself will downplay your presence. When I was in school as a primary school student, it got to a point that every time I now wanted to answer a question, I would not be able to answer anymore. You know what I will now do? I will now tell the answer to a friend sitting close to me. And this friend will raise his hand and answer the question, and they will clap for my friend. And so somebody else will take the shine that I'm supposed to take. And they will reward the friend. In my presence, reward the friend. In my presence, give the friend the best student in class for an answer that I was the one that knew it. But I could not get myself to raise my hand because of that one experience of shame and because I had made it my identity. I have believed in it so much. With spotlight trauma, you will know the answer to a question, but you will be silent. You will know the solution to a problem, but you will be silent. The fear of success, spotlight trauma, you will be silent. And guess what? Because you know it, it will burn in you. You will begin to, maybe Dr. Titilola will talk about the effect on your health. Because for every you know what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to do it, you're not doing it. There's so much building in you. There's bitterness, there's anger, there's regret, there's resentment. And these things have a way of affecting even the body, the cells of the body. With spotlight trauma, you are not ready yet. You see, this one is very common. You keep telling yourself that maybe I need more training. Maybe I need to go for more training. You will always think that you are not ready yet. I don't think I'm ready. I don't think I'm ready. Maybe I need to do more training. This one. That's why you see people run from one training to the other, from one training to the other. So they have information overload and they cannot. In time where you get to the point of addressing the belief that is truly stopping you. Get up, you can do it. Just go ahead. Just go and do it. No, we're not talking motivation here. We're talking root cause. What is the belief that is driving this feeling that you're having? When you say that I don't think I'm good enough, what belief is driving it? What story? What story is driving it? What story have you told yourself? What story is driving it? What happened? At what point did it happen? What makes that thing that happened? What makes it the truth about your life? Yes, they laughed at me. You know that when after a long time, maybe I was already an adult, and I saw some of those, classmates, and I told them this. They said they didn't even remember that they laughed. Children who were just being children laughed, created a scene, and I created a story out of a group of laughing children who were just being children. I created a story of irrelevance and I believed my own story and it began to run my life. And that is what is happening to a lot of people. So what do you need to do? Quickly, the solution fear tool, I tried to share the other time. The first thing is fear tool, FEAR, using it to overcome imposter syndrome and fear. The first thing is feel the emotion. I'm going to be rounding off very soon. I'm so sorry. Feel the emotion. Feel it. Don't fight it. I said it in the beginning. Embrace it. This is your reality. Feel it. Don't try to fight it. This is what you are feeling. I'm feeling this way now. So feel it. Number two, engage it. Ask questions. Go back to the root. Sometimes you need therapy. Sometimes you need one-on-one for them to help you dig. Other times you can sit down by yourself and say, this thing that I think about myself, what makes it true? Where did I get it from? Why am I trying to be perfect? Who am I trying to impress in this life? Why am I trying to impress the person I'm trying to impress? What makes me feel? You think that as I am now, if I see questions that I cannot answer when you ask me, you think that I would it will not, because if I can't answer it, I have become self-aware enough to know that in this life I cannot know everything. So I will not be saying, I will not come up, or just in case they'll now ask me a question I'm not able to answer. If I don't know the answer, I will say, I don't think I know the answer to that. But now that you have mentioned it, I think I'll go and do a further research, or say, let Dr. Titi Lola answer it. Or let's say, let the convener answer the question if she knows it. If I don't know it, I do not know it. Medical doctors, consultants know these things. They don't, a consultant pediatrician is a consultant pediatrician. If you go and ask him question on gynecology, he might not know it. He will refer you. It does not make him less of a medical doctor or a consultant. But you can learn it. Once you learn it, display it, express it, let it be known. But before you go there, go back to the history, to the belief stopping you. So number one, feel the emotion. Number two, engage it, engage it, engage it. Ask questions, ask questions. I'm hoping that maybe by the time the question sessions, maybe you're able to ask me more questions that I'm not able to talk now because of time. Take action. You have asked questions, but write the story that you initially wrote. The story that I wrote was that I'm useless because I was laughed at. I rewrote that story to say that children are just laughing. It's normal for children to laugh when they say something funny. The teacher that says something, going through something, and it was his own belief too. So I forgave the teacher, I forgave all of them, and I forgave myself for believing the lie that they told, that I've now run my life for a long time. And the moment I did that, fear did not looked at anything I'm going to do as anymore. And it reframe negative thoughts. Go and do what you are supposed to do. Go out and do it. If you have done the steps that I talked about, go out and do it. Go out and do it. It's okay. If you make a mistake, it's fine. It's because you're a human being. Stop trying not to make a mistake. Stop it. Stop trying not to make a mistake. Where did you get this perfectionism thing from? Stop trying not to make a mistake. Failing is not, it's a part of life. It's a part of life. You cannot experience, you cannot enjoy peace until you experience chaos. You cannot enjoy success until you experience failing. Failing is a part of the journey of success. So be okay with making mistakes. Be okay with saying that, oh no, I don't know this one. What's the answer? Oh, I don't know this one. It's okay. Then when you have done all of that, go to the next one, the last thing, on something, the new fears will come up, new self-doubts will come up. So go back to feel it, engage it, take action, and repeat. Reward yourself and rejoice. Give yourself a pat on the back. That you did it. Well done. Well done. That's when you realize that nobody's trying to judge you. All the judgment that you are having in your head, you are the one judging yourself based on your past, based on your past experiences. Based on your past experiences. Nobody's judging you. You are the one busy judging yourself. Again, like I said, embrace imperfections. Mistakes are a part of life and growth. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is a necessary ingredient of success. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's a necessary ingredient for success. When your healing starts, like I said, you will now begin to experience this thing again. So repeat the process. Repeat the process. So finally, my final thought for you is that when your healing starts, there will come a time where you feel stuck, right? In most cases, you are not stuck. What is happening is that, let me quickly explain this one. There's a transitioning between where you were, the story you had told yourself before, and where you are now planning to go. So when you're transitioning, you see that space in between, you have never been there before. You just moved away from where you were to where you are going to. There's a space in between where you are discovering, where is this one? Where is this one? That is where a lot of people now say that they feel very stuck. No, you are not stuck. You are moving to the point where you want to be. It's just that it's an unfamiliar place that you are, because it's no longer the place where you were before. So keep going. Embrace the process. Keep moving, one step at a time, one moment at a time, one thing at a time. And if you can continue this way, do the things that I've talked about, you will realize that all of a sudden, self-doubt, imposter syndrome, fear, all of those things, they take their place, and you can take your place. With when your brain nervous system perceives success as exposure, remember, and exposure as danger. When your brain perceives success as exposure and exposure as danger, that is when the spotlight trauma is activated. That is where fear is activated. That is where self-doubt is activated. So let's work on that. And I hope that this has been impactful. I hope that by the time we're done with all of these things, if I can take some questions, I hope that you are able to, move ahead and start what you need to start. Live the life you want to live, regardless of what anybody thinks about you, regardless of what you think about yourself. Thank you very much. I hope that's been in fact impactful. I can now take some questions before we have the next speaker. Thank you very much, guys.